What's up? What's up, everybody? How are you this Wednesday evening? This is Brown Sugar Confessions coming to you every Wednesday night on Power 1017. And you know by now that we talk about things that no one else on the radio is going to talk about: sex, relationships, pop culture, and really just about anything we want to talk about. That's what we do on Brown Sugar Confessions. I am Doc Val, your host, and we are excited for tonight's amazing show. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us for this full hour because you don't want to miss anything. And by the way, you know you need to be on YouTube. And if you're not, you need to subscribe and like us and share it because we are phenomenal, by the way. So, Miss KD, what's up with you, love?
Hello, everybody. So today I am in the lovely city of Tampa Bay. Do you know it's like so hot here? It's like 93 degrees.
Wow. But you know what? At least you're in Florida, girl. Enjoy it. Miss T in ATL, what's up with you, gorgeous? You
Oh
looking,
man,
look
I
at them
almost forgot to talk.
lipsticks.
I forgot to talk. I was getting ready to we going in the show. Let's do this.
No, girl, you know I'm not forgetting about you. What's up with you in the ATL?
Well, it's currently about 90 degrees, partly
Don't you even.
cloudy,
Here she
with
goes.
an 80% humidity.
That is the one thing we can count on is you and the weather. Miss T, your show last week was absolutely incredible. I had so many emails about that. You are no longer a baby. You have grown
What?
the blank up.
But I had a great time down there. And I think everybody who listened to the show, if y'all haven't gotten your tickets for Sex Down South, you need to go ahead and get your tickets, sexdownsouth.com. Go ahead and get them tickets so we can see you there in the place in the ATL. You will have a great time. I promise you. But with that going on, besides all the other hot, crazy stuff that has happened in the world, here's some hot, crazy stuff for you. You ready for it? You ready?
You ready?
All right. So last week, sometime somewhere in Oklahoma City on I-40, there was a lone semi truck doing its route. And at some point, some way, somehow that bad boy tipped over. And you know, semi-automatic, not semi-automatic, semi-trucks.
That's a gun.
That is a gun. You are correct. It's a semi-max truck. There we go. So that bad boy tipped over and lost its contents. And guess what it was containing?
What was in it?
Personal handheld fun devices.
AKA sex toys.
Sex toys, yes. All over I-40. Stop traffic for a few hours.
Where was this at again?
I-40, somewhere around Oklahoma City.
Boy, oh boy. Oklahoma with a whole daggone street full of sex toys.
Yes.
So what was it? What was it?
It was dildos, condoms, and lubricant.
Oh
my! I fell all over the interstate. And here's the funny thing here's what I found funny. So once Twitter gets a hold of something, they're going to go like to the left with it.
Right.
So one person had typed, "This is where the rubber meets the road," literally and figuratively. And they're absolutely correct. This is where all the rubbers hit the road. So my thing that I'm wondering about is, because you know that it's going to take a couple hours for them, one, to get the truck righted, and two, to get all of the contents that the truck spilled off of the highway or interstate. So part of me wonders, did anybody go and grab any of that?
Girl, you know they did. But
because I know not all of it was damaged, but whatever was technically damaged isn't going to get put on the shelf, so it's already going to be discarded anyway. So
that road crew was Oklahoma. The Oklahoma road crew was out there with them shovels, scooping up them dildos. And
I feel like somebody sold that somewhere.
Girl, go to eBay, go to Amazon. It's right there on
$10 for $10. 10 inch for $10.
10 inch for $10. Oh my God.
I got it right here. 10 inches for $10.
10 inches for $10. No 3 inches for $3. No, we don't want that. We want 10 inches for
10 inches, $10. I got you.
Speaking of 10 inches, I don't know why I thought about this, but I'm having a senior moment.
Uh-oh.
So I was looking at something, and this guy who's the size of a pencil has the biggest eggplant in the world.
It's always the skinny ones. It's always the skinny ones.
It's honestly, when I saw the picture, Marie's like put her head down. She's like, oh my God, but girl, we're gonna go here. When I saw the picture of this skinny beanpole guy, and it's like 17 inches.
Where was he from?
Wait, what?
Everyone's y'all going to Pornhub, y'all going to YouTube, y'all going to OnlyFans. I know where y'all going to look at this dude.
But I want to know, where is he from?
I don't know. I did not search out his bio. I didn't care.
What does his ethnic background look like?
Caucasian. That's all I could tell you. That's all that was showing. And I'm literally, when I tell you he was a beanpole, he was a beanpole.
Was he from Romania?
Good question. Romania in the house.
Only one way to find out. Somebody find him and ask him.
Someone need to find and ask where he's from. He need to come on Brown Sugar, because I was just like, there is no way. And that's
got to be a lot. Can you imagine how much that weighs?
He was slinging it. Okay, all right. We're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about it. He was slinging it. Like,
do you imagine how much that would feel like if you get hit by that? That's like,
what's the sound effect? What's the sound effect?
That just sound like just like a wet back pow. Like, I don't want to get hit by that.
I don't want to get hit by that. I don't want to see that. I saw it. I'm like, oh my God.
That's impact play on a different level. I don't know if I'm here for that
level of impact play. Anyway, speaking of playing, I'm going to talk about sex, faith, and relationships, because, hey, all sizes matter and all faith is relevant. So we're going to go there. Coming from Sussex County, Delaware. That's where I'm at. Y'all know that by now. The Bible Belt of Delaware, right? We have more churches and developments, but no, not really, but maybe. I'm not going to go there because I can go real left about that. But anyway, the one thing that's really obvious if you're coming to Lower Slower Delaware is Sunday, you go to church. That's what you do. You go to church, then you go to the church meeting after the church, eat some fried chicken, you get some slicks. That's chicken and dumplings for those that don't know what slicks are.
Thanks for telling me, because I was about to ask.
I know, right? There's biscuit chicken and dumplings, and then there's slick chicken and dumplings.
I got questions for that, but I'm going to save that for another show.
That's another show, but I'm hungry. I'm salivating right now, but I'm not thinking about the 17-incher, just the chicken and dumplings, but that's okay. As we my mind is not well tonight.
We gotta focus.
I'm so sorry.
Like a laser.
I'm all over the place.
Not a pencil, like a laser.
Because I just saw 17-incher, and now I'm talking about church, and now I'm talking about chicken and dumplings. I haven't even got Marie, and I'm all over the place tonight. The Lord, please.
Welcome to the show, Marie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Marie. All right, we're going to talk about it. So, Marie, where are you from originally?
Thank you, ladies. I am beyond honored to be here with you this evening. My name is Marie. I grew up in New York City, but I'm actually from Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
So Haiti?
Yes.
Yes, so you speak Haiti. French and Spanish?
Creole. Creole. Oui.
Okay. Oh, girl, just speak French. Just say whatever, comment allez-vous, whatever it is. I don't know.
Well, since French and Spanish is very popular, let me teach you some Creole, which is the hot language.
Okay.
So in Creole, how we greet each other, our peers, definitely not someone older than us, is sac passe. Sac passe. What's up?
Sac passe.
And then you have to be just as spicy and say, oh, ma boule, ma boule, ma boule. That means I'm hot. And you?
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Mla. That means I'm here. I'm fine. All is well.
And that's Creole.
Yes, Creole. Oui.
Oh, so
I'm glad to know how to respond to that, because I always hear when I was living in Florida, a lot of guys would say "sac passe," but I was like, "Hey," but I didn't know how to respond to that. But now I know how to respond, so I feel a little better now.
Again, but with the older generation, they find that disrespectful. So you have to speak French. So they would say comment allez-vous, which means how are you? And
Uh-huh.
you would say, oh, je suis bien, et vous? I'm fine, and you? So you have to break out the French. It shows that you're educated.
Oh, I
But with each
see.
other, family and peers, that Creole comes in.
Lovely. Well, thank you for the French and Creole lesson. And since tonight you are educating the Brown Sugar listeners on faith and sex and relationships. So just educate us. Tell us a little bit about, your background. And you said you're Haitian. So
Yes.
tell us about the background in Haiti and what's like growing up in Haiti around faith.
The Haitian culture is very tight with their daughters. They're more lenient with the sons, but with the daughters, they're more strict, more tighter, and they truly believe in and not being outside when the sun goes dark. Little things like that, and constantly making sure that you don't have a boyfriend, and constantly making sure that you're not doing something in trouble. I was told that the boys have more freedom. I'm an only child, so I'm not sure exactly the sons how they were raised, but I was told that they get to stay out later and hang out with their friends a lot more than us girls.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And in Haiti, what is the faith? Well, what faith were you brought up in?
I was brought up in a Catholic faith, and basically no fornication, no boyfriend or girlfriend until you're very, very mature, and you have to get permission from the parents.
Okay. And are you still Catholic today?
Oh, no, 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 no. I've since then transitioned to two different religions, two more.
Two. Oh, what are they?
Jehovah's Witness and
Oh.
Mormon.
Oh,
Girl.
that's a lot.
So that's a lot. Yeah, you're right, Misty. That's a lot. So you went from Catholic to Jehovah Witness to Mormon. So you're a Mormon now.
Well, to be honest with you ladies, and that's what the whole show is about.
Right.
I've since then parted ways with the four walls, aka religion, because my goal in life was always to be closer to God, and I actually found him on my own. It wasn't the bishop or the elders or the pastors or the sisters. It was basically my relationship with him. It wasn't about the religion itself, because religion actually can make someone worse instead of better, so to speak.
Okay. I understand that. So tell me, how did faith growing up and then now and converting to those two other religions and more being a Mormon and a Jehovah Witness, how did that affect you in your relationships? And you're married now, right? With children?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So,
married with two lovely children.
oh, beautiful. So growing up, tell us a little bit about how the faith intertwined in what you were taught as a young person, and then a little bit about how the faith that you grew up into transcended itself into your relationship with your husband. Take us on that journey.
When I was growing up, I grew up in New York City, as I mentioned before. My mom always said, we might live in America, but we're not American. So don't practice any bad habits. Apparently, people were telling her things about what young people were doing at the time. And I was what you would call a good girl. So I was the type of girl where you just gave me the eye. And parents are notorious for giving you the eye, especially when company's over, where if I was doing something not quite nice, I would behave just by getting the eye from my mother, because I knew if I didn't behave, that meant getting spanked. So I pretty much grew up with that type of mentality. I grew up with some very, very tough, strong-minded women, starting with my mother and my grandmother, my aunt, and I had a few cousins. By the time I came around, everyone was divorced. So I wasn't sure what it was like to have a loving relationship with a man.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bit of bitterness and talks of divorce and why they got divorced and bad men and all that stuff. But being a child, I didn't pay attention. It wasn't until I was in junior high, I didn't know anything about sex or body parts or anything like that. It wasn't until I was in junior high and this particular young man knew that the teacher was going to be absent because he was always ill. And he brought a tape to school and he put the tape in the TV. And as we were watching it, there was these people and they were doing these weird things with their bodies and they were making weird sounds and they were naked and they were on top of each other and doing all these things. So just imagine me as a junior high schooler running home and saying, Mom, you wouldn't believe what I saw in school.
Hold on. Just for clarification for the people out in Radio Land. Did he bring a porno to school?
Eventually, I put two and two together. He sure did. It got even worse for me. So you can imagine I was mortified to see this movie and these people and what they were doing. And then he said to me, would you like to see my eggplant? And I said,
what?
Plant? I beg your pardon? And he unzipped his pants and whipped it out. And that was the first time I saw an eggplant. And I was so grossed out, ladies. So grossed out. So
your mom never talked to you about sex?
No, because apparently in the culture, it wasn't allowed. They just don't talk about things like that. In fact, when company comes over, they ask you to leave. And sometimes that's actually when they speak Creole because they don't want you to understand what they're saying.
Right.
Oh.
So if you don't leave, that means you weren't trained properly. So you have to leave the room and let the grown-ups speak. That's when they take out their cigars, they take out their cigarettes, they take out the alcohol, and they let their hair down because the kids are not around.
Right.
So I was completely oblivious to what was going on. So I went home and I said to my mom, so this boy brought this movie to school and people are doing this and they were doing that. And my mother was mortified. She was like, what? Where did you learn that from? She denied everything. So years later, of course, over the years in high school, she would say to me, you're not allowed to have a boyfriend because these kids are doing things and you better not come home pregnant and embarrass me. I'm like, pregnant? I don't even have a boyfriend. What are you talking about?
But like, how do you even know how to get pregnant if you ain't going to tell her how to get pregnant?
Exactly. But I definitely, ladies, knew to stay away from the boys because whatever was going on that was leaving a dirty idea to the parents had something to do with the boys. So I knew to stay away from them. We were good friends, but that was about it.
Okay.
So it wasn't until I got into college, and again, still not interested in boyfriends. I just wanted to travel the world and live with 50 cats as an old woman. That was my dream in my lifetime. And so
I support this.
So years later, I get a boyfriend and my mom said to me, don't you dare make out with him in front of the house and embarrass me in front of the neighbors. And I said, make out? What is she talking about now? So this particular boyfriend realized I was completely innocent from sex and everything that comes along with it. And he took my hand and he put my hand, in my underwear and said, and took it out. And he said, I want you to smell it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, this is your vagina. It's a beautiful part of who you are. And I want you to smell it. It has a certain smell. And sometimes it smells like fish. Ladies.
I got questions.
We got questions, girl.
Actually,
just stop.
First of all, Tracy, do you want to ask this or should I?
First of all, T'Challa is pissed. He wants to know what is going on. What is going on?
He put your hands in your pants and said, smell it. And then
he did.
It smell like fish.
I want to know how he knew.
Now, my mom never let, so when I was in Haiti, my mom, we had helpers around the house. And I noticed that my mom would never let the helpers give me a bath like they're supposed to do. She says, no, you're going to discover your body parts and I never want anyone to touch you. So I was like, okay. So growing up, I'm the one, of course, who gave myself a shower. So no one was allowed to touch me. So it wasn't until this particular young man did that. And I'm like, he's the first man to touch me. And why is he making me touch myself and smell myself? And I was, again, mortified. I had no idea what was going on. And I'm like, what does it mean that we smell like fish? We don't smell like fish.
And how does he know?
Well, apparently, when he turned 16, his dad got him a prostitute for his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so he had plenty to teach me. And just when things couldn't get any worse for me, I was working at the mall and there was a huge snowstorm. It was so bad that it literally buried the entire New York City. Just imagine that.
Oh, wow.
And I got stuck in the mall. And it was like, my mom kept sending me messages. Where are you? What's going on? His house was closer to the mall than my house. So he decided, why don't you come over and spend the night with me? Ladies, I
Oh,
will never
no.
forget that night.
Oh,
Never forget that
no.
night.
confess, girl,
Oh,
confess.
no.
My mom, oh no. It wasn't anything like that
Oh.
because my mom spent the entire night calling and cursing us both out. I had to translate the curses to him because he didn't speak Creole or he wasn't Haitian, and saying, "You better not touch my daughter," and all that stuff. And she had him so shaken, like every boy before him that was interested in me, that he was like, first thing in the morning, I am taking you home. I said, please do it. And his mom also spent the night with us. So there was no monkey business like that. And I was literally shaking that next day when he brought me home. And so that was my next experience with sex.
Wow.
Needless to say, I never knew about masturbation. And when I found out about masturbation, by that time, so this is college again, I found the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I left the Catholic religion a long time ago because that was the religion of my childhood that my grandmother got me into. So every Sunday we would go to church and whatnot. So I wasn't really too comfortable with that. But by the time I was in college, I was searching for something different, see what's out there. So I studied with atheists, I studied with Hare Krishnas, you name it. And then I met the Witnesses. And I remember a brother giving a talk about masturbation. And I'm like, okay, now what is this? So, he didn't, of course, go into detail because there was all types of ages in the audience. But he was saying that something in the line of that in God's eyes, it's not considered clean. And I think he went on to say something about it would lead to bad thoughts, just like fornication. So basically, in these religions, they frown upon fornication in a huge way because, unfortunately, a lot of young people have gotten pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also the scriptures does say it's not allowed. So they go into that. And then, so I was like, well, now what is this masturbation? Of course, I went home, looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's touching yourself and having pleasure without needing someone. I said, okay, interesting. And that was pretty much it. A few boyfriends later, and then fast forward into moving to Los Angeles by myself to get away from all the strictness of life. And that's where I met my husband. Whole other story.
Oh.
That is fascinating. So with all these religions that you were involved in, and correct me if I'm wrong, like masturbation and sex outside of marriage is frowned upon.
Yes.
Okay.
And so as you can imagine, to be honest with you ladies, I stayed a virgin all of those years. Literal virgin all those years.
Nice.
It wasn't until later on I dabbled into misconduct, as the scriptures would call it, unclean conduct. I learned what fooling around was. And certain parts of me stayed virgin and other parts of me did.
I see. So getting married and being a married woman, did you carry some of that shame and guilt of not knowing your body, of not knowing about pleasure, how to give pleasure to a partner? Did you carry some of that in your marriage because you didn't have the education and experience? Did that show up for you?
Absolutely. I felt there was a lot of shame. Even when I did dabble into misconduct, I felt dirty afterwards. Like, oh my goodness, what would God think of me? And also too, I felt like an outsider, like I didn't belong because everybody I knew, they lost their virginity at 16, 17, younger than that, older than that. And here I was much older than that. And I was still a virgin because I was taught that was the right thing to do. And so when I got married, I was very embarrassed, to be honest with you, because I didn't know what I was going to get myself into on our wedding night.
Okay. Very interesting.
That's fascinating, isn't it? It's just fascinating.
Excellent. Marie, we are going to have to take it to break real quick. So we got to pay bills, everybody. Just remember that now is the time. Go to the potty, go refill your refreshment, your refreshed beverage, drink some water or something else. Have both. Who knows? Grab a snack and we will be back after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Sugar Confessions on Power 1017. Did everyone grab their drinks? Did you grab your water? Grab your towel so you can rub off the sweat because we are about to get back into it. But before we do, please make sure you follow us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us. The social media handles will always be the same, Brown Sugar Confessions. If you would like to ask a question on the show, you can send your email to brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com. And if you want to get something a little more deep down and personal, and you would like to have either a consultation or speak to Dr. Val, you can reach her at Valerie at Swan Center, that's SWANN.com. So, Marie, I have a question for you because I found it so interesting. The story you told me that your first time that you even found out about like kind of the chemical situations sometimes that happen with being a woman was with the gentleman that you were with, hanging with for the first time. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like how did he make an assumption that you had a scent or like how did this conversation come up? Because that's just
Yeah.
so interesting to me.
Thank you for asking. So basically, we were making out.
Oh,
Oh, dangerous
the
territory.
juices.
We were making out. I didn't know what that was, so I was learning a lot from him. And he put my hand in my panties, and he said, and he pulled it out, and he says, "This is what you smell like. This is what women smell like." Ladies, I was mortified. I had
He put your hand in your panties and made you smell it.
Yes, and he took out my hand and made me smell it. He says, "That's what you smell like. I don't want you to be afraid."
Okay.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. All right. And how did that make you feel though?
I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because he knew more about my body than I did. I was never taught about how my body functioned, not in school, not at home, not anywhere. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know what was going on in my teen years. So when he taught me that, it was a bit embarrassing because it's like, oh my goodness, that's my privates. He put his hand, even though it was my hand, he put it there. And
Right.
I was also a bit ashamed because I wish my mother taught me and my grandmother taught me about how the woman's body works and why it's not appropriate to make out in front of your house and things of that nature. But till that day, I still didn't know anything about sex.
And how old were you?
I was around 19 at the time.
Around 19, and had no idea what was going on with your own body, what was happening with your hormones, what you were experiencing within your body. You had no idea what was happening.
No idea. In high school, they gave us maxi pads. So
Yeah.
they told us that you would be having a period and all that stuff. So yes, I did know about that, but I didn't know anything about where the eggplant went and all of this stuff. Again, the first time I saw an eggplant was on that young man in junior high school, but that was it. That was the last time I saw an eggplant.
Now, then I heard you right before break, because I was about to ask a question. They were like, no, we got to go. You were talking about you changed faith.
Yes,
So
I did.
this. Okay.
Yes, I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I think that was the religion that drew me even closer to God because we have to knock on doors and we also have to study the Bible with people. So for me personally to do that, I had to study the Bible a lot. And I felt that my faith in God became closer because my mom taught me a few things about him, but she would smoke her cigarettes. She didn't live the word. She just told you about the word. And if you misbehaved, you got spanked, which is typical with our culture. It's very strict, especially towards the girls. Right. And so when I became a Jehovah's Witness, because I had to knock on doors, I had to really study the Bible and meditate. So I knew by that time, I'm sure I've heard of fornication. By that time, I knew that fornication was out of the question for me. And to be honest, ladies, even though marriage was a beautiful gift from God, believe it or not, I did not want to get married.
Really? Why?
my family never really taught me anything about males, except that I knew I was very good friends with them. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to be that cat lady in my 50s with 50 cats.
Yes,
you know,
living in her own castle. I'm here for it.
Yes, no children, because my mother was so strict with me that I didn't, there was a lot of parts of my childhood I didn't really enjoy because the word no was so constant. It was so constant with my teachers, with my neighbors, with everyone. My mother trusted no one. And so because of that, I didn't want to be the kind of mother to my children where I was constantly paranoid, constantly strict. And, you know, and I had to understand that no matter how strict I was, sometimes the kids will eventually learn their own way about fornication.
Right.
And it's not up to me, nor is it my right to disown them or to make them feel dirty or evil because they decided to venture out that way. See, I was a perfect little girl, and sometimes I wish I wasn't that perfect little girl. Not to per se to lose my virginity, ladies, but more so, I wish I was more, what's the word I'm looking for? Open, more into just buying a plane ticket and going somewhere all by myself and not care about the consequences. I'm always thinking about consequences.
Now, do you think you think about consequences because of your upbringing and the faith that you grew up in?
Yes, because I've ended up in 3 faiths.
Oh, there's a third one.
What's the third one?
Yes, there's a third one. And that third one is Mormon.
Huh?
Stop the presses. So we've got Catholic, Jehovah Witness, and a Mormon.
I feel like you've just gotten stricter and stricter and stricter.
Yes. And let me tell you, ladies, all 3 religions are a whirlwind of their own. And one thing that now at this age I've learned, and for me, it's the best thing I've learned through all these years of being so religious, is that it's not the religion. It's not the 4 walls. It's not the pastor. It's not the bishop. It's not the elder. It's not the sister. At the end of the day, it boils down to your relationship with God. Because ladies, if you want to rob a bank, it doesn't matter who tells you not to rob a bank, you're going to rob a bank. Right. And then you're going to look at your life and say, you know, I regret doing that. But at least you took the chance. You know what I mean? I don't regret being a good girl my whole life, but I do regret listening to people to the point where I felt ashamed because I wasn't Miss Perfect, or I felt that they were constantly choking me from being me. For example, I'm very outgoing. You know, I feel like my family won with the fact that I wasn't a fornicator, but I'm outgoing. And I sometimes I felt like for example, my mother was the main person in my life to raise me. I felt like she suffocated me a lot. So even now, as we speak, she's in a nursing home. She's still smoking her cigarettes. And there's still that funky little tension between us. Because in her eyes, even though I was a good girl, it wasn't enough.
Well, dang, what else could there have been?
That's fascinating. And going back to what Miss T kind of rattled off a minute ago about saying you went from strict to stricker. Is that a word? Stricter. As far as faith wise, is that that's my assumption as well, Miss T. Is that true, Marie? Is the 3 religions that you were involved in you're still in faith now, right?
Ladies, I'm proud to say I walked away from all of that.
Whoa, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna circle back around from you walking away.
She went down, and then she set herself free, y'all.
In answer to your question, ladies, the first one I don't remember that much because I was a child and I was forced into it. So I don't really remember the Catholic religion much, except that there was constant hearsay of hypocrisy from everyone involved. But again, I'm not going to talk much about it because there are some people that is their faith and I don't want to disrespect them.
Absolutely.
All I can say is that, to each his own. Right. With the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not going to lie. they had my heart. They had my heart. And the reason for that is because, again, the person that makes my world go around is God. Everything that I do on a daily basis has to do with him. His laws, his word. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not perfect. I'm just saying, before I make a big decision, I say to myself, is he going to like me making this decision? Or is this going to put a rift in my relationship with him? So I feel that the Jehovah's Witness religion, they are very strict. They are very strict. And fornication is a big no-no, because scripturally it's a big no-no. So with fornication, with the Jehovah's Witnesses, when it comes to dating, you have to be mentally and emotionally and financially ready to date.
I like how they said that,
determines that?
financially
Like that,
ready.
yeah, right?
Financially ready.
Yes,
If you
because
broke, you ain't
fornication-
dating.
Yes, because fornication is not allowed. However,
So what's fornication? See, to me, I'm thinking fornication is, what is fornication in your definition, Marie?
having sex with someone that you're not married to.
Okay.
It all boils down to, you need to be married, period.
Got it. Okay.
Now, if the relationship is loving, he's abusive or she's abusive, that's a whole different story. But both of you need to be married to be respected by everyone.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
So as you navigated between these three different religions, how did you find yourself changing your views on, because of course, fornication, no matter what, is going to be considered bad in most cases. But outside of fornication, how was your relationship changing, if any, with sex in general, in terms of like, perhaps with like a husband? Like, did your views on that change? Did you find like the different, your different seasons in terms of religious? Did you find like a lot of changes in how you viewed these things as you navigated through these different beliefs?
To be honest, Katie, I spent most of my adult life looking at sex like it's taboo.
Even now?
Yes, even now. I went out of my way to suppress my emotions. If I was attracted to someone, I wasn't married to them, so I made sure that I kept my distance. I went out of my way because I had prospective suitors. I even had a few who proposed marriage, but something wasn't quite there. And there's a saying that, what's that smell? Oh, it's desperation. And I was never that type of female who had that odor. I've always respected men and males like they were my brothers. So mentally, I just feel like marriage, although it's a beautiful gift, it wasn't for me right now. As I mentioned before, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to be single. I grew up with a family of single women. Everybody was divorced. I just did not want to get married and get involved with anything. So I really suppressed my sexual desires. I actually sometimes I felt bad for having sexual desires.
So you have so you have shame around, or do you have shame, or did you have shame around your desire sexually?
I believe I had shame, and I tried to stay as single as possible, because to be honest, ladies, I think as I look back on my life, I was scared to death of sex because it was on TV. It was in the radio. It was constantly talked about in school. When I graduated high school, everyone had a baby but me. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. And the only person that was saying don't have sex was God. And so many avenues, everyone was suppressing his voice and his belief of not having sex before marriage. So it was just so frustrating. And then I had all these hormones, and I was turning into a teenager, and now I'm turning into a young woman. And I had all these feelings and desires, but I didn't want a boyfriend, and I didn't know what to do. At that time, I didn't know about masturbation. So that was another big thing. And then one day.
So what was a big thing around, not to cut you off, but I did, I'm sorry, but what was the thing around masturbation?
Well, the elders got into talking about that. And I can't remember precisely if they used scriptures or not. But if I remember correctly, they were saying that it's not appropriate, that we shouldn't masturbate.
So you can't touch yourself, and you can't let nobody else touch you. Pretty
much. Yes, exactly. So for some reason, I remember growing up, like masturbation was a huge no-no. It wasn't something that good girls did, if you want to say it like that. So I never did. I never did masturbation. So I just minded my business, saw a handsome man, hi, how are you? And went about I have to tell you ladies a story. My weakness is muscle. Ladies, I don't know how I remained a virgin for many years, but I have a weakness for muscle.
Hey, you like a muscular man.
Ladies, now that's where my mind gets dirty.
Okay.
My version of dirty, probably not you ladies. And sure enough, the devil is busy, as we say. I was at work one day, and this shredded, I'm talking gorilla shredded muscle that took the whole wall, came up to me and he said, "You're beautiful. Just imagine," he was of a different race. He said, "Just imagine you and I having a baby together. We'd have beautiful children together. Let's go out on a date."
Oh my.
Did he say date? He said date, ladies. Date.
I'm mad. He said, "Imagine our babies. Let's go on a date."
Exactly. He was already prepared.
He was already plotting.
The devil knew because my tongue was like this.
Just drop
Or
I had the six pack that I spent 4 years of high school dreaming of seeing that wasn't on Baywatch. There it was in front of me. Nice cap shoulders, broad, six pack. I mean, veins popping out. I love it when the veins pop out. I know I'm weird, but I do.
You do you, baby girl.
Yes.
He was just so, that was the first time in my life where my hair, every part of me just lit up like a Christmas tree. I was like, this man is handsome. Now I can get in a lot of trouble with him.
So did you? It's time to confess, Marie. Did you get into trouble?
Ladies.
We want to know.
No, because I'm petrified of pregnancy. I'm petrified of pregnancy, and I'm petrified of going there. So
understandable.
No, I actually quit the job because he kept bringing me flowers.
You quit your job?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ladies, I panicked.
That man was definitely trying to get him some beautiful babies.
Yes, the good girl in me took over, and I said, no, this isn't right, because I know what he wants, and I'm not ready to give it to him.
Wow.
That's some serious self-control right there.
Yes.
That's some serious
Yes.
self-control. Congratulations on the self-control.
And by that time, ladies, I was a Jehovah's Witness. So I was studying with people. I actually knocked on people's doors, and I was studying with them. For me to stay away from fornication and practice what I preach, because you'd be surprised what people would run into you. And they're going to be like, that's my Bible teacher. Why is she at a club? Why is she at a bar? You know, why is she half naked at the gym?
Because duality, that's why.
Yes, but people will always find you doing something wrong. They never boast you doing something right.
True.
So since I knocked on doors every Saturday and Sunday, as many of you ladies have experience with Jehovah's Witnesses, and even at work, I had to practice what I preach. And it was very important to me not to have any type of hypocrisy, you know? So I tried to be as single as I can and just stay out of trouble for a long time.
Wow.
And then years later, ladies, I had another big moment of my life. I realized that I wasn't getting anywhere as an adult. I was still being treated as a child. So I decided, after meeting a friend, to move to Los Angeles.
Hey.
Whoa.
Big steps. Big old steps.
And what happened in LA?
I know.
Oh, ladies, as we say, well, Satan was waiting for me there.
Satan was waiting
Yes,
in LA.
he was. It was absolutely horrible. So the good news is I got a piece of adulthood. I learned how to pay rent. Never knew what that was.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I learned how to cook because I didn't know what to do with meat, but I would say that I learned how to drive.
Okay, you grew up. All right. And you
So I was doing
dated?
a lot of adult stuff. I went to the supermarket by myself. I learned how to drive. I got my own apartment because the sisters I was living at the time were not very friendly. They had some issues with the brothers liking me. By the way, I didn't tell you ladies this. In the Jehovah's Witness faith, there's not a lot of single men.
Huh?
Huh?
I didn't realize that. Interesting.
In the Jehovah's Witness faith, there's not a lot of single men.
Oh, so
things can get a little catty.
I see.
Oh.
Yeah. And so with one single brother, there might be maybe 15 single ladies wanting to marry him.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So if you're single and you're attractive and you're single, keep in mind the word is single.
Everybody wants you.
Well, the females want to rip your hair out.
Wow. Wow.
So I had a few elders who at that time were much older than me. They were in their 50s, that liked me. And it brought a bit of a rift with these sisters, and they changed their ways. They kind of forgot that they were sisters, and they started treating me badly. So they started locking me out of the house, even though I was paying them rent. I was renting a room from them. And believe it or not, ladies, that was the first time I saw prostitutes.
Wow. So you did grow up in LA.
Yeah, I really did. I learned about prostitutes. That was interesting. I actually got mistaken for one. Since this show we confess. Yes, ladies. I was in full Jehovah's Witness long dress. I was on the corner waiting to cross the street on my way to the Kingdom Hall. And this prostitute comes up to me and says, "What are you doing in my corner?"
Oh my.
And
Oh.
throwing up in a bubble. I'm like, "I beg your pardon. This is my corner. All these men over here are mine. You need to keep moving." And, she had her little finger like this. I said, "Moving? I'm waiting to cross the street." And no, you're not. You want my men. Needless to say, once again, I was mortified. I just crossed the street quietly and went to the Kingdom Hall like nothing ever happened. I must say, a few days later, all the prostitutes had long dresses.
Oh wow.
What? Oh my goodness.
Because all the men wanted them to look like sisters.
Oh wow.
Oh, so the prostitutes
wow.
were looking like Jehovah Witnesses intentionally.
Wow.
Ain't that something?
It was very interesting. Long story short, I met the man who would become my husband.
Okay.
Not
All
on the
so
corner.
now you're married. Not on the corner.
Not on the corner, right?
No. Not on the corner.
Okay.
By that time, let me step back a little bit. So I walked away from the Jehovah's Witness religion because, ladies, I wasn't happy. I was getting further and further away from God. The sisters were getting meaner and meaner. Like it was my fault that these men, liked me, and I didn't know what the problem was. So I just said, "You know what, Father, I need a break. I need to step away from religion." I was able to escape my mother. Thank goodness. I was able to escape her, which is why I moved 3,000 miles away. But I was still in religion, which kept me, I still feel like I was drowning. So with that being said, I decided, let me just walk away from the faith. So for a good few months, maybe, actually, no, I would say a year or two, I was faithless. Just my faith in God, that was it. No four walls, no religion.
Got it.
And then
So
I met
let
my
me ask you a
husband.
question. So now you're married and you have children.
Yes.
Before we close out, I have a question for you. So the impact on you, from what I hear, is that there was a lot of, you weren't educated around sex and relationships. Obviously, you were kept in a bubble, and you didn't learn things until you got married. And living in faith, are you treating and educating your children differently than your mom did? And do you have, and is shame still a part of your life? There's two questions. Are you going to treat your children differently or train them differently around sex relationships?
Oh my goodness, Dr. Val. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want my children to feel ashamed. We're already using the appropriate words for them to know about their bodies. They already know that they have the right to say, "No, don't touch me." They already have the right to know that no one has the right to force themselves upon them. And right now, we're teaching them age appropriate information about sex, because unfortunately, a lot of young ones learn it the hard way in school. I was one of the fortunate ones that didn't. I don't want my children learning it the hard way. So I'm definitely teaching them.
Okay, so you're definitely teaching your kids. All righty, cool. And now that here you are, a grown woman, and you are married with kids, living your best life, having fun, are you still sometimes, do you still go back to faith when it comes to your own sexual presence with your husband? Is there shame that sometimes that creeps into, or have you moved past that as an adult? And that's not a good question, but I think you feel me.
Yes, I think, to be honest, sometimes I still feel like oh, this is taboo. You shouldn't be doing it, even though I have the right. We're married. I'm still trying to process everything because of the fact that I was kept in a sexual bubble my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So now, my husband is very patient. So he takes his time. He doesn't pressure me or anything like that. So I'm still trying to feel comfortable in my own skin.
Okay, that's powerful. You know what, Marie, this was really a good show. As I mentioned, living in Lower Delaware, the Bible Belt of Delaware, basically. Religion is a part of all of our lives down here. And I think this was really important to talk about how you can be of faith and also be a sexual person. In marriage, out of marriage, whatever it looks like, and talking about the impact of that on a person. So thank you for coming to the show. I hope you had a really good time.
I did. I adore you ladies.
It was wonderful to hear you just talk about, all of your experiences, and good Lord, you did have a lot of faces. That was kind of funny.
That was the faith of the faith. Faith of the faith.
I said, good Lord, she had a lot of faith.
Faces.
And you know what we say on Brown Sugar Confessions, to always stay safe and play safe. And we will see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to another episode of Brown Sugar Confessions on Power 1017. Go to our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram page at Brown Sugar Confessions to like, share, and follow. Stay safe and play safe. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.